All right. So it looks like 44% says yes, 56%, 60% says no, 40% says yes. Oh, Albie, that's terrible. 3 years ago? Albie says he had a gun, if you don't mind me sharing, gun pointed at his head while and was robbed as a pizza manager. 3 years ago, that's terrible. Keith was a survivor of an active shooter incident while heading home. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close this poll. So we have a few here who have been personally impacted. It's terrible, but at least you have a little bit of insight into the survival mindset and what you can do to basically help protect yourself. And that's kind of what we're going over today. So a little bit about Alamom. We do a lot of consulting, but we also focus in on an active shooter. We're excited about this program. We love the program. We love we love studying active shooter events. We love breaking it down for other people. We love looking at it and basically helping the community and helping businesses grow and prepare really great plans. So our professionals have 50 years of combined experience. Some of the people we've worked with is State of California, Los Angeles PD, FBI, Special Forces, Israeli Special Forces. There's a bunch of other agencies we've worked with, and all positive outcomes. But we really love building the plan and just making sure that in this violent world that we have right now, that we can help keep people safe. So a little bit about myself. My name is Jonathan Sowell. I am one of the instructors here, the primary instructor here, and security expert. I have 12 years active duty in the Navy, where I did search and rescue. I also have law enforcement background and 12 years of emergency medical experience. I've also been an instructor for well before I was in the military. I was teaching EMTs for a long time. So another question for you, I'm going to put this up in the poll again. How many active shooter situations do you think have happened this year? Let me go ahead and launch this one. All right, got the polls coming in. 60% looks like they're voted. 90% have voted. Looking for a couple more people. Good, we got 100% votes in. So that looks like there's 40% of people who said, let's see here, let's actually just break it down. So nobody said 6, 20% said 27, and 10% said 163, and this is just the U.S. alone. 30% says 230, and 40% says 334. Well, let's look at the answer. If you said 334, you are correct. These are active shooter and mass shootings in the U.S. this year alone. This number is pulled from gunviolencearchive.org. They're really great at collecting the facts and the reports, and they put them out, and everybody gets to see them and see what happened and see how many people were wounded or killed. So this number is increasing day over day, month over month. It's more and more and more, and it's terrible. So we really have to get ourselves in that survival mindset. And here's a little bit of a breakdown of where each one of them occurred. So not that in the previous slide, it's like not that it's Los Angeles or anything like that. Those are just the states. But here, this is where they've actually occurred. And we just had one 2 days ago at a polling location here just outside of Los Angeles. 1 dead, 2 injured. So these are just huge, staggering numbers to look at. So just as a disclaimer here, the videos and course material and course content you're seeing, it is and can be graphic in nature. So if you think this is going to upset you or cause additional stress, please let me know now. Okay, the videos and the stuff we're going to show in this webinar don't necessarily represent the view of Al-Imam ourselves. We just use them for educational purposes. So we'll discuss anything that's good or bad in videos that we don't like, but everything brings in a great perspective. Okay, and I encourage you to go out and search stuff on the web. Like go to FBI's website. They have a special section for active shooter events and active shooter breakdowns. They just released the 2015-2016 report. So it's really great information that you can look at, and you can see some of the staggering statistics and how they're growing. Okay, and also search videos. Everybody puts out these public service announcements. You can search those videos and look at those public service announcements without any problem. It's pretty easy. Okay, so just some of the basics before we get into and we kind of break down the survival mindset. So 69% of these events are ending in less than 5 minutes. Okay, so if you think about it, law enforcement, the typical response time is between 10 and 15 minutes, depending on where you are. Some people have, less than a minute response time. Some people have a response time that's upwards of 20 to 30 minutes. But you really have to get in the mindset that you are the first responder. So anybody inside, the victims technically would be the first responders, okay? And especially if you look at the next one, which says 43% of these incidents cease before law enforcement arrive. So get in that mindset now. So some of the potential indicators of violence, this is pulled from the FBI and DHS's list. They do a really great job of breaking down all the events and showing what the indicators were, indicators that we can pull out, and we can use these later on in life. And you can, as long as you have a great communication plan with work, you can use these to start the communication process before an event happens. So look at these. I'm not going to read them all out, but talks about problems at home, financial difficulties. Maybe they're talking, giving unsolicited advice or comments about firearms or explosives, or maybe they're just they're having a little bit of depression or withdrawal from their everyday life. So these are great indicators that you can start some sort of communication plan, whether that be with HR, whether that be with management, whether that be with your C-level team or your executive level team. These are all great indicators. Now, precipitators would be stuff that would lead to the problem, okay? Just like the indicators. Financial difficulties, legal problems, domestic problems. Maybe they're having poor performance at work, and every time they get an evaluation, it's always bad or negative, and they can't take that constructive criticism. So that's another reason why these events happen. So part of the survival mindset is really getting into situational awareness. And we're not going to talk a lot about situational awareness today. We're going to talk a little bit about situational awareness and how it applies. You have to be aware of your surroundings. That's huge. It's the number one thing. If you can be aware of your surroundings and what's happening around you, you can see the little, you can notice the little perceived changes, those little changes. Now, generally speaking, our brain only notices those major changes. An example of this is, guys, we're horrible at this. Our spouses get a haircut and we don't notice it. It's because our brain automatically overlays this image of what we've seen, okay? And unless it's a major change, we're not able to perceive it. So you're driving down the road and you notice that this building is now pink. That's a major change that you've noticed. And most of the time, your brain takes a picture and overlays that picture over what you're seeing. So when you do have that major change, like the pink building or an entirely new dress that your spouse is wearing or something different, you're not going to be able to perceive those changes. So looking out for those changes, like changing your drive to work or changing the way you're sitting at your desk or the way your monitors are faced, or maybe even looking for things and developing that better situational awareness. Now, some of the examples are like if people are wearing a long coat and it's hot outside, unless they have the flu or they're down with a cold or something like that, that's typically not a normal thing, right? So looking for those little changes will help you out. Now, every day, this is what you should be looking for. When you go into a building, the first thing, take that 2 to 3 minutes it takes to look at the exits, look for people, and look for cover. The people part is something that's going to be an ongoing process. And as you move around the building, you're always going to be looking for things like cover and concealment. And if you don't know what cover and concealment is, cover is something that's going to stop a bullet. Concealment is something that's merely going to hide you. Okay? So looking for exits, looking at people, just watching what people are doing around you and how they're acting, whether they're acting shifty or whether they're concentrated on a certain task or etc. Now, we take all this stuff and we can apply it to our everyday life, okay? Now, the natural human response is fight, flight, or freeze, okay? Those are the three things that typically happen in our body. So right on top of your kidneys, you have this thing called the adrenal glands, okay? And when you get into an active shooter or you get into some kind of incident that triggers this, the adrenal gland will release adrenaline, okay? And that's what triggers your brain to either, excuse me, fight, flight, or freeze, okay? So even the biggest people I've known, most manly, soldiers that I've known have freezed in the situation, and really it's more about noticing that this is happening and changing this over time. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. So these are the three things that's going to happen. We used to think it was just fight or flight, but in reality there is that freeze aspect as well. And as we go along today, feel free to ask any questions. We love answering questions, okay? Now, when you're looking around, you're considering situational awareness every day, this is what you need to do. You need to locate 2 to 3 exits, okay? When you come into the building, take the 2 minutes it takes, the 5 minutes it takes. Locate 2 to 3 exits in your building, okay? Locate anything that could be cover or concealment. Look for individuals, observe those individuals. And then the biggest thing is trust your gut. Now, we've developed this really nice checklist or this really, really nice acronym to help you out. So if you think of Alamom, our business, our name, you can break down each one of those into things that you can look for. So A is an alert. So stay alert, look at your surroundings, observe individuals, locate the direction of the threat if you are in an active shooter situation. At least know your closest exits. Analyze the situation. Know your escape routes and the closest place to find cover or shelter. Monitor your instincts and feelings, and trust your gut. That's a huge one. People oftentimes don't trust their own instincts, okay? Organize. If you have to fight back, organize together. When you act as a team, you have a great chance of survival. And then move. If something happens, move. Make decisions and execute them. Don't hesitate. Commit to your actions, especially when we're thinking about the survival mindset. If you have to fight back, a lot of the times we think, okay, it's going to be me or you, and I'd rather it be me. You have to get in the mindset of sometimes it happens. So the person nearest to the door, the person furthest, because guns are a distance weapon, the shooter might be able to take out one person, but the rest of the people in the room will be able to take down that shooter. So we have to get in the mindset of that. We have to think about that. So when it comes to moving, you have to execute. Okay, make your decisions, stick with your decisions, and commit to your actions. Now, use the chat box or the question box here. Do you think can you think of any improvised weapons you have access to right now? Anybody have any good improvised weapons around them right now? At your desk, whether you're at home, maybe you're somewhere else. Okay, your monitors, great. Chair, awesome. Fire extinguisher, perfect, love it. What else? Ross, Gary. Tables, yeah. Printers, awesome. Scissors, perfect. Yeah, so some of these improvised weapons that we have could be like hot or cold coffee. You can at least disrupt them for a little bit. Stapler, and really when we're talking about disrupting the active shooter or the threat, you're looking at disrupting sight, hearing, breathing, control of the weapon. Staplers, hot coffee, hot or cold coffee, if you throw it in the face, it'll stun the person. Pins, those are really great. Sports equipment. How many people have sports equipment or memorabilia in their office? A lot of people do. Fire extinguishers, those are amazing weapons because you have, they're distance weapons because you can use them, spray them, use the smoke or the fog that it creates, the CO2 and the fire retardant. You can use that at a distance, so up to 15 feet away. Or if you have to, you can use what I call the business end of it, which is the bottom of it, and you can hit them in the face with it. Computer equipment, monitors, office chairs. What if you rolled an office chair right into the oncoming path of the active shooter? So guns themselves are a distance weapon, and we gotta keep that in consideration because guns, when they're not able to use them properly when they're really close to you. So if you're standing really close to where the active shooter's coming in the door, they're not going to be able to use that weapon effectively. Okay, so being closer to the shooter is better. Now, when, like the picture here, when the gun is in closer to their body, they have better control of that weapon. But when it's outstretched, let me see if I can find it right here. When it's outstretched, they don't have as much control of it with that weapon, okay? So you got to keep that in mind. So in this case, you can always push the weapon side to side or up and down. Down is usually harder because they have a little bit more leverage in that case. Now, when the shooter does come in the door, and you wait for the door to be opened, position yourself near the door to the side, okay? And as they come in, use one of your hands to push the gun up, and then use one of your hands to push them backwards, just like in this picture right here. Because what you're doing right here is you're disrupting their ability to shoot, and you're catching them off balance. And so as you push them backwards, there's a great chance they're going to fall. Plus, in their mind, all they're thinking about is staying upright. Okay. Now, there's other takedowns that we like to talk about, and this is what I'm going to tell you a little bit about today. So there's a long object takedown, there's a one-person and a two-person takedown. So with a long object takedown, you want to position yourself near the door. And I'm going to show you pictures here in a second. Long objects. Think about long objects you can find, whether it's a chair leg, or maybe it's a table leg, or maybe you do have a baseball bat in your office, or maybe you have a broom or a mop or a vacuum cleaner little tube, you use it with a vacuum. Anything like that can be used as a long object. So you have these long objects. You want to hold that long object and position yourself next to the door and out of sight. And as they come in, you want to use that long object to hit the shooter's arms or hand. Okay, preferably just behind the gun at like the wrist level, or right on top of the gun where it's going to hit their hands. Okay, now this is going to cause them to lean forward a little bit. When they lean forward, that's your perfect opportunity to hit them in the back of the head. I know this is one of those things that we're like, we don't really want to hurt people, but when we're put in a situation where it's you or the shooter, you have to take action and be willing to disrupt the shooter or hit the shooter to injure them, okay? Now, also one thing to keep in consideration is when law enforcement does arrive, make sure to put these objects down if you do use objects like improvised weapons and follow their commands, okay? Now, once you've hit them in the back of the head, they're going to fall forward, okay? And you really want to continue hitting them in the head until they've stopped moving, okay? And use your foot or whatever you can to move the weapon out of their hands at that point. So here's a look at step one. So as the shooter's coming in the door, hit them at the wrist level or at the gun level. Okay? When you do that, you're going to disrupt their hands and their ability to shoot. As they fall forward, hit them in the back of the head. Or if they continue coming in the room, hit them in the back of the head. In step three, go ahead and hit them in the head again, and then repeat as necessary. And once you get the ability to move the weapon away from their hands, move it away. Okay? Now, a lot of times what I tell people is, if you have body weight, and body weight is one of your greatest assets, just put your knee on their back. Put your knee right on one of their hands. It's going to hurt them, plus it's going to keep them from moving. You also have a one-on-one takedown. So this is the same thing, but you want to position yourself by the door. And when you position yourself by the door, you want to be in a crouching position that will allow you to spring forward. Okay? The biggest thing is to be just behind the door. You don't want to be right next to the door. You just want to be a little bit away from the door. Create a little bit of a gap, that way you're out of sight. Now when you do this, you're going to use your body and your hips, you're going to use your body to take them down at the hips and the knees. Okay, because our balance, think about where your balance is controlled by. It's controlled at your hips and your knees. So you position yourself there, and then you spring forward at their hips and their knees. And then once you have them on the ground, you position yourself where you can push the gun away and use the gun to move, or use your hands to keep the gun up or away from their body. So this is step one. So as you're step one and two. So as you're position yourself at the door where they can't see you as they come in. Once they do come in, you want to take them down at the hips and at the knees. In all reality, you want to be just a little bit lower than this man is in this picture who's taken, well, me down in this case. You want to be just below that. The reason why is because you want to use your body weight, use your leverage, okay? No matter how big they are, you can take them down at the hips and the knees. And a lot of people say, it's kind of funny, they always tell me this because I'm tall, but taller you are, the bigger you are, the harder you fall. Well, it's true. In step three, put your knee right on their back or right on their shoulder and keep your hand up and position the gun away from you or other people. Okay? Maybe even take a nice elbow to their head if you can. Now, a two-on-one takedown, this is a little bit different because you have two people now. So you're going to position those two people next to the door, crouching and out of sight. One person is going to be just beside the other person. Not in front of them stacked like this, because if you stack yourself, you'll become a target. They can see you as you're coming through. And the cool thing about this is, and we're thinking about why position yourself by the door, well, like I said before, guns are a distance weapon, right? So if I position myself by the door, I'm closer to the shooter if he comes in, he or she. Now, I say he a lot, but statistically speaking, 3% of active shooters are women. So, so you got to think that I say he a lot because statistically it's going to be a guy. Now, once you've positioned yourself like that, the both of you, the two people, you're going to do the same thing in the last one. One of you is going to use your body and your shoulders, okay, to take them down at the hips and the knees. You're also going to use your hand to push away the weapon for the second person, okay, and control the weapon. The first person is going to put their knee in the shooter's back, and the second person can put their knee in the shooter's shoulder, okay, or on their hand that has the weapon, and then use your hand or use your foot to kick away the weapon. So this is what it would look like. So position yourself. You'll probably want to put yourself flatter against the wall, but take down the shooter. When you do, control the weapon as you take down the shooter or the threat. Now when you do that, you can now take the two people and position yourself where it's easier to control, okay, the person. So one person on the small of the back, the buttocks area, the other person is controlling the arms. If you get the chance, push away that weapon. So I have a video here that talks a little bit about situational awareness, and I want to see how many people I don't know if you've ever seen this before, but it's called the monkey business illusion. I'm going to paste this up in the chat, okay? And what I want you to do is open this up. Most of the time, I can't show videos because it's really laggy, but open up this video. Can everybody see that okay? Can everybody see that link I just put up there in the chat box okay? So what I want you to do is use that link and go ahead and watch the video, and then give me, let me know when you're done watching the video, okay? All right, you should be about done watching the video. Any key aspects? Did you see the, you missed the gorilla? Okay, did you see the gorilla? Did you see the black person leaving? Did you see the curtains? Did you see those change colors? Anybody notice that the first time through before they rewinded the video and watched it again? So the reason I show this video while you're putting those responses in, the reason why I show this video is it's huge when it comes to situational awareness and perceiving those little changes that happen around you. If you're able to do that, you're able to better protect yourself and get that survival mindset, okay? And if something does happen, you're able to respond faster, which is the takeaway here, responding to these situations. Anyone else have anything else that they saw? You missed the color, yeah. So when I first watched the video, I missed the color as well. I saw the gorilla come in, I saw a black team member leave, but I missed the changing of the curtains. And a lot of the times when people watch this video, sometimes they pick up on that gorilla, sometimes they don't. And some people have picked up on all three of them. But even if you've seen it over and over and over, oftentimes you don't perceive those changes. It's one of those great situational awareness videos that we can look at. Now, we have an open house coming up. This open house is going to take the self-defense techniques that we've talked about, and we're going to do those live, and you're going to do those in person with us. This is going to be on November 15th at 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the Burbank Center. It's going to be 33 North Glen Oaks Boulevard. Feel free to join us. It's free. It's a free event. That basically, we're going to put some mats in the room. We're going to have different bats. We're going to have training weapons that you can use, and everybody can practice taking down an active shooter with the security experts and myself and others being in the room with you to help you take down the shooter and to teach you what you're doing good and doing bad. So if you want to register, go ahead and go to our website, the www.alamom.com, and you can register for this ahead of time. That way you can guarantee a spot, because they will fill up quickly. Now, some of the other takeaways, basically when you're putting together a plan, the basics is training your employees and management, and you also want to look at your business by doing risk assessments. And a risk assessment is going to allow you to look at the business, look at your building, and pull those takeaways and those things that you can improve on and put them into a plan. And that's another major point, is building a plan. Does anybody right now have a plan? Right now, at your work, do you have a plan for active shooter or threats? Because in reality, sometimes the threats, we've heard plenty of times where the threat wasn't a shooter, it was knife. Somebody had a big knife and they were stabbing people. So anybody have a plan already? Okay. Anyone else? Now, once you have that plan, and once you build a plan, they're typically not hard. What you need to do is identify your risks as a business and try to mitigate them, or try to stop them from happening. So if you don't have a control for people entering and leaving the building, you put in a control. And sometimes these are very, very cheap fixes that you can put into place. And oftentimes, like keeping doors closed, keeping them locked, putting out a policy that says we're not going to use the side door, we're always going to go out the front door or this back door, but if you go out the back door, make sure it's locked. And then what you can do, the next step after that, is you can do a drill. So you can run a drill to see how effective your plan is. But to run a drill, you really have to have a plan in place already, and you have to have the training already in place as well. Okay, so you give enough time for your employees to let the training sink in, okay, and then you run that drill. Now after this, you can look at some other various aspects of safety and security with your building, and then you can get into the further specialty courses where you're talking about human resources and processing, because if you think about a plan and active shooter response, it should start when you build your building or when you're hiring your people. That's when you should start your plan. After that, you can look at different medical courses where you can train your employees on just the basics of first aid for active shooter response. And then you can also train leadership on their ability to be prepared and to deal with situations. Now, here's some of the courses we offer right now. We do active shooter response. We have other ones that we teach as well. This is our open enrollment. With this, it gives you 4 hours of training. We can always take our training. A lot of people ask us to take the training and incorporate stuff for their businesses, which is the way we want it to be. We want to give you, come out to your business, we maybe do a risk assessment ahead of time so we can identify some of the little aspects of your building. We can take your plan and put it into the training, okay? And whether that's 2 hours, 4 hours, we can come up with the content and we can just present it to you and let you look through it and then present it to your employees. We also do private company webinars, we do drills, and we do risk assessments. So we can come out to your business, look at your building, make sure that, or identify the weak points and the good points, okay, and then develop a plan or put something in place for you and give you a report afterwards. This typically takes between 1 and 4 hours. It really depends on the building. Sometimes if the building has 2 floors, 3 floors, it might take time to go through each one of the floors. We'll talk about your training plans. We'll talk about your plan for people entering or leaving the facility, the parking lot, and so forth. Now, if you have any questions past this webinar, and feel free, start asking questions. We love questions. I'll answer any question I see. But if you have any questions, comments, concerns, you can contact Brandy, or you can contact myself. And our email addresses and phone numbers are right here. Or you can visit our website at alamom.com. So any questions up to this point? Or does anybody have anything they want to talk about briefly? How does everybody feel about this? Do you think this helped you? Do you feel like you need now to take a hands-on approach to this, maybe practice these? And feel free to email me. I can send you the little step-by-step guide on what to do as well, if you want to take this and try to practice it a little bit. Or you can email Brandy as well, and she can send you the slides. Good, good, Kim. I'm glad. Do you think anything particularly is helpful in this for you? Yeah, keeping it simple is amazing. Most people don't realize how simple things can be. And if you use, for example, in a takedown, if you just use your own body weight against the attacker, you have a great chance of bringing them down. And that's a simple thing. I think we've all learned a little bit about, like, growing up. Sometimes I have 5 sisters, and we used to roughhouse a lot, but you learn how to just do little techniques to take people down. Yeah, I agree. It is. It's huge. The situational awareness and the ability to perceive the things that are going on around you are key takeaways. Also, maybe even showing that video, maybe talking to your employees and showing that video, just a brief description of how they can be more aware every day in what they do. And that's a key thing. In our full class, it's 4 hours, our open enrollment class, we teach the situational awareness, we teach the takedowns, we teach the ability to run, hide, and fight, because today we really only talked about the fighting aspect, but there really is the run and the hide and the fight. So we break down each one of these, and then we go over this, and we take a minute to look at some of the key aspects that's going to happen when you do take someone down, or look at the things that you need to consider when you're hiding or silencing your cell phones, that kind of stuff. Are there any other questions? And if you're wondering about building your own plan, well, the first step is looking at what plan you have, okay? And then incorporating the run, hide, fight. And if you just don't know how to get started, feel free to contact us. We can help you get started. We can help you develop a plan. You can put some pictures in there, a satellite overview of your facility, the interior floor plans. Those are all key aspects to a good active shooter plan. All right. Well, I want to thank everyone so much for coming out and watching the webinar and just being with us today and presenting some good questions, good feedback. Really wish the best of luck to you in the future, and if you do need anything, please contact us. We are passionate about this, something we love. We eat, sleep, and breathe active shooter response and also security. Thank you so much.